Okay, kids, here we go today. We're losing people. We have a little attrition going on here, don't we?
Good
Jen is not.
morning.
Good morning. Yes, let's say good morning.
Yes. Good
Trish,
morning.
say good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I hope you're
morning.
joining us. We are going to be talking about some very important things today. One thing in particular, which is a very extensive subject, and it's one that everyone wants to know about. It's a question that we get all the time. How do I keep it off? So we will be diving into that. It might be more than one live that takes to do that. But first, let's get oriented. As you can see, right now, there's only the three of us. Jackie is having some technical issues, and Jen couldn't be here today. So we are doing fine. Don't worry about it. Let's get oriented, which is what I like to do because sometimes I forget where I am and when I am. So it is October 3rd right now. It is a cold October 3rd. It certainly feels like the fall. It might rain today. We are in various places in the state of New Jersey. You are, of course, where you are. We are all, as far as I know, in these United States. We are all sharing this planet Earth in the Milky Way and part of the same galaxy. That is the Milky Way is a galaxy, right?
I think so.
Okay. We're part of the same universe. So we are sharing this together, and we are together right now on this cold autumn morning. So if you're joining us, welcome. Please comment, share, like, do whatever you have to do. If you want to know how to keep the weight off once you lose it, that is what we were discussing today. This is a challenge. Let me tell you up front, keeping the weight off is harder than it is to lose it. And we're going to be discussing why that is and what can be done about it. All right. Before I get started, staff, lovely staff, is there anything that anyone needs to say or share?
I need the tips myself.
I agree.
Same.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Well, I'm always guilty of this. So.
I'm on program myself, and I feel like I do good. I definitely live by the 80-20 rule, and I feel like no matter what, there comes a point where I just wake up one day and I'm like, what did I do wrong? How did I get back here?
Yeah.
Or how did I start getting back here?
How long after does that usually start?
Well, to my defense, I did the program for the first time when I started working for you. So it's 4-ish years ago. And it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time. Okay. I really feel like post-COVID. So I want to say over the past year is when I started to put it on, actually, not even during COVID. And I look back and I'm like, I don't get it. Unless I had more time that I wasted being bad than good, about making poor decisions. But it's definitely over the past year.
Well, COVID is its own thing, really. I mean, it's a very different time, and everyone has been challenged by this. And, you know, a lot of people that I've spoken to are kind of discouraged in the sense that they did so well. The pandemic hit, everything changed. They've gained weight back, and everyone is asking the question, how do we keep it off? There's a reason we came up with this topic, and we need to explore it. So let's begin. All right. I want to make a couple of points at first. Okay. So we're not even going to wait. We're not going to just start with fluff and then get into the actual mechanics of it. Let's start off with a couple of big matzo balls. How's that sound? Okay. Metaphorical matzo balls, not literal matzo balls. Okay. There's no literal matzo balls.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's start off. First of all, I want everyone to understand that your ability to keep the weight off is going to be largely dependent on two factors. Factor number one is your ability to create policy for yourself and stick to it. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, I think if you go back, you will find that every time you started gaining weight back, it's because you had broken some kind of policy you had set for yourself, or you never set one in the first place. Okay. And what would an example of a policy be that you set for yourself? Could you think of one that would help you keep weight off long term?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, what? Give me an example.
For example, the so-called cheat day becoming a cheat weekend.
Okay, right. So if you have
Mhm.
a policy that you're going to do a cheat day and it's once every 2 weeks,
And
and
starts
then
Friday and ends Sunday late night.
right. So a cheat day should probably be 24 hours or not even, right?
Not even.
Okay.
Should be a
Sunrise,
cheat meal,
sundown.
not a cheat day.
Yeah,
A cheat
or a
meal.
cheat meal, right.
Cheat
Can anyone
meal.
else think of any policies that maybe that they made for themselves or that would have been a good idea to make for yourself and not to break?
What about when you gain more than 5 pounds, you become aware of it and you do something to get the weight back off that you work so hard to keep on?
So it's a great point, and it's actually kind of built into our program. So anyone who's ever done our program knows that once you're in what we call the reset phase, where you have a 2-pound window up or down,
Mhm.
right? It's kind of a stabilization phase. The reset and beyond, there is a policy that we give to you, and that is if you gain more than 2 pounds, you are to do what we call a stake day right away. Now, that obviously means weighing yourself on a consistent basis, right? So it has to be preceded by that policy. But if you do a stake day right away, it will get you back like this. So part of the point that I want to make to people is, and we've made this point before, momentum is a real thing. And you don't want to wait for it to build up and snowball till it gets out of your control. What you want to do is you want to keep aware and you can take savage action immediately. Stake day is a very decisive action that will help you mentally, emotionally, and physiologically get stuff back right away. So that is a wonderful policy. Now, Corinne mentioned 5 pounds. That might be you fudging the actual policy, but that could be an additional one, right? You know, so it's not a bad idea if you're going to keep with the stake day policy, 2 pounds, you do a stake day. If you find that then you're too ashamed to get on the scale and things start to snowball, well, once it's 10 pounds or so, then you do another program, for example. Okay. This will avoid the gaining the 50 pounds and calling us up desperately. All right. The one thing that we know for sure, and that everyone listening to us knows for sure, is that our program works magnificently. It is a sure thing. Everyone says this is the only thing that has ever worked. Everyone has a great deal of confidence in their ability to lose weight on our program. But we will get into that more in the future. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions about this idea of creating policy and actually sticking to it? Hi, Lisa G.
Hi, Lisa. She likes steak.
Honestly, I think it's a smart idea, and I never really thought about it like that, which is why I'm probably guilty of gaining weight back. Or, for example, myself, right? Like this weekend, you put me back into check because I was stress eating, and Dr. R said, well, instead of stress eating, write down 3 different ways to avoid stress eating. So to me, those were good ideas because it's going to work, hopefully, so that I don't do that again.
Well, again, it's a matter of sticking to the policy that you set for yourself. You were operating under a policy that said, well, if I'm stressed out, well, then everything goes to shit and I can do whatever I want. That is not a good policy to operate from. All right. There are better ones. And now that's what you need to do. You need to set that policy and keep it in no matter how you feel. And that's a whole other challenge that we will get into later. Like I said, this is a very meaty topic. We have a lot to discuss. All right. Hey, look who's here, Denise. I'm with you. But I've been back to exercise, which makes me stress eat less lately. Okay, good. So you found another way to alleviate the stress. So you don't have to rely on just the food, just stuffing yourself, right? Because that will ultimately only increase your level of stress.
Absolutely.
Right?
It does increase your level of stress. The unfortunate part about it is as you're eating it, you're like, oh, this tastes so good. And then you say to yourself, why did I do this?
You know what's funny? I don't agree. When I stress eat, in my head, I don't enjoy it, but I don't stop it.
That's right. It doesn't even matter how it tastes.
Nope.
Oh, I
I
enjoy it.
can't.
I'm not gonna lie.
Like, no, like I don't, and that's why I get even more mad because I'm like, I know I'm not enjoying this. Like, I'm not, it's not something I actually want. I think I want it because it's
Same.
there,
Right.
but I don't
Joe
stop it.
Joe is joining us, and he says, "I'm sorry I'm late." You know what, Joe?
Hi, Joe.
We woke up early, and we put ourselves together just for this, and you have the temerity to be late. Don't let it happen again. All
So
right.
don't listen to him, Joe. I got your back. Don't worry.
Listen, if you're joining us now, this is a really important topic, and the first point that I was making, and I'm going to be making many, many more, is that your success in keeping the weight off largely has to do with your ability to set policy for yourself and keep to that policy. And you will find if you look back, any other time you've gained weight, you have broken some policy you never created in the first place, or you had some dumb policy like, I'm Italian and I'm stressed, therefore I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Someone is hiding their head in shame. And so we see why. Listen, we've all done it. We're human beings, right?
But I'm not lying about it. I'm telling the truth.
Well, why would you
That's
not?
just one step of getting.
Yeah, well, it's step number one, right? Okay, direct hit, said Joe. All right, now let me make a second point. I have to look. I forgot what. Okay, good. Here's the point. We've been talking a lot lately about mindset. So a lot of things come back to mindset, right? And there's a different mindset for losing weight and for keeping it off. So first of all, what is mindset? Mindset we can define as those thoughts, feelings, attitudes, agreements that we make, purposes, things that will help dictate our behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, let's do a little experiment with you guys. I like to do experiments. I like to play with my staff a lot. Test them. Right? Is that not true?
Very true.
Okay, good. Okay, so here's our little experiment. Show of hands, if I offered you $500 to read an article in the magazine Vogue, how many of you would do it? Okay, would anyone not do it? Okay, all right, good. Now, show of hands, if I offered you $500 to read the complete works of Shakespeare, that's 38 plays plus 150 poems and sonnets, who would do it?
Footnote version? No.
Nope.
Okay, why not?
A lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort, huh?
Or I should say,
doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interest level. Not that Shakespeare is not interesting, but to every part of it from start to finish is not my cup of tea.
So basically,
would do it. She'd be raising her hand.
Yeah, you've just outed yourself to the world. So if there's something very superficial and glib that will not help you at all, you will read it. But if there's something that will actually make you smarter and a better person, then you're not into that.
That's not going to make me a better person or smarter.
It will help. And listen, it will feed your soul more than any article in Vogue. You can only read,
this is true.
So much about Birkin bags. So, okay. So what is the difference there? What's the difference between the reading the Vogue article and reading the complete works of Shakespeare?
It's 3,000 pages versus a page.
3,000? I would think Shakespeare is probably a lot more than that, but yeah.
Well,
150 sonnets? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why can't you do that?
It's not that you can't do it. It's just the effort that it would take to commit. It's a long-term commitment.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know, this is really interesting, or it's not my cup of tea right now that I want to sit down and read this start to finish.
What's the problem with a long-term commitment?
It has to interest me.
You made a long-term commitment to your children. I haven't seen you kick either of them out yet.
This is true.
Long-term commitments have long-term benefits, do they not?
Yes, certain things, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with Jackie. Certain things. There has to be a reason for a long-term commitment. So, for example, I make a long-term commitment, like you said, to my kids and to see them better themselves day in and day out. But I don't see a benefit in reading Shakespeare and all their sonnets, and how is that
But you
going
do see a
to
benefit to reading a stupid Vogue article.
But if you ask me to read a book about mindset and changing my mindset and becoming a better person, I would read that.
Not if
But
it
I
was
just
150, or if it was 38 books and 150 articles, you might not. Here's the point, is that the longer something goes, the longer we have to commit to it, the less certainty we have about our ability to do it.
Truth.
So when we say to people, 40 days, like you can change your life in 40 days, there are people who aren't sure of that. You know, they're
Right.
not sure sometimes about their ability to do it for a day. But most people think, okay, 40 days, I could stand on my head for 40 days, right?
Yeah.
But then you say, okay, well, you're going to be alive for 40 years more after that. And then it's kind of, oh no, I don't think I can make that kind of commitment. Right. So do you see the difference in the mindset? There's a completely different mindset between like kind of gritting your teeth, sacrificing for a short term to get a goal that you want, and you know, to make a decision that you're going to be healthy for life. Okay. The other factor that Jackie said is there is an interest part of that. Right? So it's easy to maintain your interest for a Vogue article than it is for 38, right?
Yeah.
38 plays, right? So we don't really have a lot of confidence in our ability to maintain our interests or our ability to make a commitment over the long term. And that makes some sense, doesn't it?
It does. I think it's also perception, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, I feel like when you say 40 days, everyone's like, oh, that seems like a long time.
Well, not everybody says that. A lot
Well,
of
some
people are
people
like, you
do.
know, for like, listen, we guarantee 20 pounds. I mean, so,
Well,
you know,
that's what I was going towards. Once we say there's a 20-pound guarantee, like, oh, wow, really?
Yep.
All of a sudden, now now you have their interest. You
Right.
know, it's like, oh, 20 pounds in 40 days. 40 days is not a long time at all.
not at
It
all.
goes by
Depending
so
on the
fast.
time, it flies. It really does. And the truth is, whether you start now or don't, 40 days is going to come and go. So it's either you're jumping on or you're not.
Right.
And
Right.
it's, you know, and it's fine. Everyone has to do it when they're ready so that they can fully commit to themselves. They have to be in the right mindset because you have to want it to get the results, period, the end. You know, you can follow our program and get results, but if your head is not in it, you're not learning anything from this. It becomes you continue the uphill battle.
Well, yes. And again, it's much easier to get into a short-term mindset than it is a long-term mindset. You know, mindset is a funny thing. It dictates a lot. And that's why I'm actually creating mindset materials. We're piloting them now. It's so important for people. And the more I do this, the more I know that's true, especially coming out of the blip. And by the blip, I mean, you know, COVID. And right? Those of you who are MCU fans understand what I'm talking about, right? But mindset dictates so much. Here's an example. So let's say there's an accident, right? There's a 20-car pileup and people are injured and they're on the road and they're bleeding. And all of a sudden, two cars pull up. In one car is a doctor, like a trained emergency room doctor. And the other car is a personal injury lawyer. How might their mindset be different when they're looking upon that scene?
Well, the doctor's mindset is
Opportunity.
how can I help? How can I help? And exactly, it's opportunity. And
Yeah, the doctor's trying to save everyone, and the lawyer is like,
He's
"Hey,
trying to
stay there."
manage.
But yeah, you're nothing's broken. Okay, he starts stepping on people's ribs.
Yeah,
Like
it's true.
the mindset is totally different, right?
Yeah.
right.
So this is what you have to understand. If your mindset is the same for long-term weight loss / maintenance as it is for the 40 day, it just doesn't work. It's incompatible.
Right.
And this is where some people run into trouble because they never alter that mindset. All they have is that acute short-term mindset of losing the weight, and they never shift. So of course they gain it back. Okay. Here's what usually happens. What usually happens is that when a person comes to us, they are in acute pain. All right. They are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Their doctor has just told them that, they're going to need a bypass. God forbid they won't be able to, play with their grandchildren in the future, or the belt is digging into the stomach, or they're exhausted just walking up a flight of stairs, or there's an event coming up. Now, an event coming up that will do wonders for a mindset, certainly short term. So this is what happens. Now, then the person loses weight, and all of a sudden, they maybe they come off their blood pressure medication. The belt's not digging in anymore. And now it's easy to relax. But again, you have 40 more years of life. So that's where the understanding has to come in. I would like to ultimately see, and this is not an easy thing to do necessarily, but this is a necessary thing to do. I would like to see a conversion. I would like to see a mindset conversion from short-term weight loss to get out of acute pain into long-term health attainment. This is what it should be about. This is the mindset that we need to have, that we need to adopt. All right. And we will continue to work on materials to help for that. Does this make sense? Is this helping people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you
I
guys
think one of the
realizing?
things
Yeah, go
too,
ahead.
I think one of the biggest things too is that you have to make it a mindset that you're still going to cook, that you're going to make food taste fun, and you're going to want to eat healthy food because it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
And when we find creative recipes to make the food fun and taste good, then you want to continue to eat healthy. It's when we're just on program and I ate a piece of chicken that has no seasoning on it and a cucumber. Yeah, you're going to want to poke your eyes out because that's not any fun.
Well, and this is all part of the understanding that, we can suffer anything for a few weeks, but we
Right.
can't interpret it as suffering. We have to look for, what we can get out of it, what the benefit is.
So
And again, and I'll use another metaphor, and then Jackie, then I want you to speak. But so here's the other metaphor I would use. And when we talk about mindset, a lot of it's appropriateness, right? So let's say that there's a fire in your house, and then the firemen come, they break down your door, and they spray everything, and they put out the fire. So that's a good thing or a bad thing?
it's a good thing. They put the
It's a good,
fire out.
it's
But
a
they
good
broke the
thing,
door.
right? Yeah. Let's say someone smells smoke because you're lighting candles, and those same firemen come in, they knock down your door, and they spray everything. Good thing or bad thing?
Bad thing.
Bad
The
thing.
approach cannot be the same regardless of the circumstance.
Yep.
All right. And that's the thing. All we're motivated by is that short-term gain as opposed to that long-term gain. And this is where the magic happens when it comes to keeping things off.
It's true.
Jackie, you were going to say what?
Yeah, so there's two things. So one, in terms of food, I mean, food is obviously a big thing, no matter what we have to
It's a
eat.
big thing. It's not the whole thing, but it's a big thing. Yeah.
It exactly. And the truth is, we do have to live and we socialize, and food happens to be the core of almost everything we do on a daily basis. Like, oh, let's get together. Oh, where do you want to go eat? Are we going to grab something? There's always, food is always there. It's just always there. And we're all blessed to be in that position where we have those opportunities. So we can make choices that are better for us. Now, does it have to taste good? Absolutely. Because why would you eat something that tastes bad to get a positive result? That
Right.
just does not make sense. It's just
It's
not
not
in the equation.
sustainable. Yeah.
It's not. And it's not realistic. And I say it all the time where people are like, oh, well, I just grilled some plain chicken and boiled broccoli. And I'm like, is that how you would eat it normally? Like, is that by choice? Did you do that because you had to? It sounds like a prison meal, Like, I'm like, I'll pass. I'd rather not eat than eat it that way, So I absolutely agree. There's always an alternative, especially now where the fact that we have an opportunity to live the way we do and pick and choose our food the way we do. There is a choice to make everything and anything taste good on a healthy way, and everything is attainable. It's a matter of what you choose to do. So with that being said, there was this quote that I saw that it really makes a lot of sense. It says, you can have results or excuses, but not both.
Mhm.
And that applies to every phase of your health journey, whether it be losing the weight now, sustaining it long term. There is always going to be something that's going to stop you. It's going to be stress. It's going to be time. It's going to be you're busy. You're tired. You have to take care of somebody else. You'll be fine. You'll do it tomorrow. There's always going to be something that comes up, but those excuses will only take you so much further away from what you really want to accomplish.
Yeah, and I want to add something, and I want to just go back a little bit, because who was it that decided or told us, or how did it get into our heads that being healthy over the long term means suffering and eating horrible food?
It's just the assumption. I don't think it was a specific, but I feel like that's
Corinne,
the
you're the one who
association.
you're the one who originated that. So why is that true?
I don't think it's true.
Yeah, I'm asking Corinne.
Oh, sorry. I don't think it's true.
Well,
Why do you think
for
that's
me,
the case?
So for me, I always thought it had to be like that. And then my eyes were opened when like Jackie would come in and be like, "Oh my God, you have to taste this." And it's a ranch dip made from cottage cheese. And I'm like, "Oh,
Ooh, I haven't
this
had
isn't
that
so
yet.
bad. Like I'd eat that." Or, like when you're not on program, but instead of having French fries, you make zucchini chips. Like there are so many different ways to make food, but when you just make a zucchini chip, if you put everything bagel seasoning on it, like my eyes really got opened in a way that they've never been opened before.
Mhm.
Um
So your solution is to hire Jackie.
Everybody needs to hire. Jackie does some really fun things with food that
She does.
never in a million years would have thought to do, but
Well, I didn't get this way by eating boring.
but because of it, it's allowed me like a win for me, which is gonna sound stupid, but I did the program and I lost like 30 pounds and then I started to gain it back. And then I, went back on a program and then I got down to a lower weight than I was the first time. And, you know, I'm noticing for myself that when I go back on program or start to eat more strict, it's kind of like you set a policy for yourself and you only allow yourself to go up. Like I did 10 pounds, which it should be thinking about it should have been 2 pounds,
I thought it was
right?
5 pounds.
No, I know. I
You
said
you
5 pounds,
wait,
but
you
I
went
called
you
me
went from the
out.
2 pounds to the 5 pounds to the 10 pounds.
Well, the truth, no,
Corinne's
no,
not
no,
good at
no.
math.
For me, my policy in my head was 10 pounds, but I said 5 pounds, to the
Should be
10 pounds,
whatever,
right?
but do as I say.
But
That's
the
what they
right
say.
thing to do is like you said, 5 pounds.
No, I
I'm
said 2
sorry, 2
pounds.
pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds.
Here's the
Oh my God, I
here's the
can't even talk
thing.
today. You're making me crazy.
Hold on. Here's the thing, and this is an important point also, and I made it before, and I just want to reiterate it, okay? The people who do the best, the people who keep it off, are not the people who are shying away from the actual results. So what happens is we do this mental gymnastics thing where we don't believe it. If
No.
things start to go in the wrong direction, we don't believe it. We make excuses for it.
Mhm.
I mean, we have so many games that we play in our own
Yeah.
heads. We tell ourselves we intend to do it, like the holidays.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course I'm gaining weight. It's my
Yeah.
plan. I'm going to gain
Yeah.
weight, and then on
New
January
Year's Eve.
2nd, I'm going to become a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Summer
So
bodies are made in the winter.
yeah, right. I mean, we have all of these
The
different
cycle.
things that we do. That's only one of them. The other
Mhm.
one is like, well, there's a million of them. Hey, it's winter. It's winter. We're supposed to hibernate, and even
Yeah.
bears game. Right? I mean, there's so many things we can come up with, as opposed to okay, the reality is the reality. I accept this reality. Right? It's kind of like if you see your kid and they're getting bad grades, well, you can say, oh, he's going through a phase. Or you can say, no, it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Right.
And that should be the policy. The policy is the reality, you accept the reality, and you intervene earlier. So you
Absolutely.
don't
It's
give
true.
yourself 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds. I mean, and we've done this, right? But You say, okay, good, I can go up 2 pounds or 5. Listen, 5 pounds is fine if it's a firm policy. But then when you see it, you react in a savage way. You don't mess with it.
Right.
That's the key.
So, Dr. R,
Yeah.
question for you. So, like a mindset for myself really doesn't, like it's more of like an action. So, like to keep myself focused, and I had a little moment of weakness this weekend, but to keep myself focused, like I got rid of like a lot of like my bigger clothes and
Yes.
have the smaller ones.
Absolutely.
So I put myself into like smaller jeans and smaller pants. So for my mindset, it's like I will not come out of these pants again. Like that's
Well,
how I'm keeping
your
myself.
husband might be disappointed by that, but okay.
Right. In public.
In public, there you go. There you go.
Right.
Wait, you will not come out of these pants again in public.
Yeah,
Again.
Again. Well, she won't do it a second time. No, one time will
only the first time. One time is enough. So I feel like for me, that's what keeps me on track, like to keep my head in the game and focused and stay there mentally for myself, because I don't, you spent all this money and now, you don't want to go back,
You're
so I got rid of everything
for yourself.
Right. And I feel like that's my policy for me too. Like I want to stay
So
there.
if you go, from a size, whatever, 6 to 8, then at that point you do something. But again,
Correct.
we want the action. The action needs to be, and the word I use is savage, unyielding. Like it's got to be very serious. This is what the best, players do. This is what the best coaches do, right? You don't just let it go and make various silly excuses for it, which is human but stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what was your question? I'm sorry, I feel like I missed it.
So like, is it more of like can you do something like that to keep yourself in a mindset, opposed to, use as an action, like of, I'm not going to, or set yourself up that you're not going to move past that kind of clothing.
Without a doubt. Listen, this is not, it's not for me to set the policy. Now we have something built in. We have this 2-pound thing and do a steak day, which is really nice when people appreciate the mechanics behind it and the thinking behind it. But it's not for me to do it. It's for each individual to set their own policy, but stick to it like it's law.
Right.
That's the key to it. Now, clothes, absolutely. And in fact, a lot of people have this policy because when they come in at a consultation, they'll say something like, that's it, I refuse to buy the next size up.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So they kind of have this policy anyway. Now, by that point, they might have already, gone up 4 sizes, right? Before they draw that line. And this is what I'm trying to impart. And this is not an easy thing to do. Although it probably is easier than the other way. It's probably easier to just nip it in the bud at the beginning. Yeah. It's just that mental crap that we go through, that we give ourselves permission. We say, okay, I'm going to get to this point. We keep extending the point because we don't want to take responsibility and change.
Right.
Right. But that's what we need to do. Jackie, go ahead.
I think it's like the mental awareness. I think that with every step in a better direction, you have to set your own standards. So by keeping yourself accountable, you have to be realistic on one end, right? And when I say being realistic, it's not necessarily in the actions, but on what you can maintain long term. Like if this is the lifestyle that you want to live, if this is how you want to be, if it's a smaller pant size, if it's just feeling confident, you have to make those self-conscious efforts to meet those standards, and it's like, and I've said this to Dr. R many times, and we've had this conversation where on the days you feel your worst, look your best. It's very easy for us to fall back into a routine. So for example, when people get towards the end of a program and they're feeling great and confident, you'll hear random things where it's like, oh, I can't wait to just go eat something they used to eat, like whether it be pasta and not to say you can never eat pasta again, so don't take this literally, but they start to, oh, I can't wait to have ice cream again. But they look forward to like, well, I want to do this, just look better. And they're not understanding the connection between the two. It's a mindset. So your actions will, create your mindset. So by you taking...
And Jack, thank you, because you're leading me into the next point that I want to make, and the last point I want to make for today, right? So far we have making policy and sticking to it. We also have adopting the correct mindset. The mindset of the person who wants to lose is different than the mindset of the person who wants to keep it off. Should be. And by the way, obviously, step one is you have to lose to get down to the point where you can keep it off. Because some people get confused on that point, right? Oh, I don't want to start because I know I'll gain it all back. No, dummy. There's a fire in the house. You get out of the house. Right? And then you worry about keeping it off. And this is how to keep it off, right? So yes. So step number one, which we didn't even talk about it because it should be so intuitively obvious to everybody, is, you know, if there's a fire, if you're obese, whatever, lose the damn weight.
Yeah.
Get down to where you're supposed to be first. Do what it takes. Be savage about that too. Right. Now, here's another point I want to make. And this is a point where people go wrong also. Let's say your lifestyle is that, you know, you go out to eat, you and your husband go out to eat 5 nights a week. You drink a bottle or two of wine every night, and, you know, you travel to the greatest locations in the world, and you eat everything when you're there. Okay? Now, that is a lifestyle that, if you are trying to be overweight, is a wonderful lifestyle to adopt, right? But what you'll find is that if you want to keep weight off, you're going to have to make some changes in your lifestyle. You're going to have to reorganize a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they don't want to, because they literally want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So you have to look and you have to reevaluate, what is it about my environment? What is it about my life that makes it more likely that I'm going to gain weight back? You know, this is one of the problems that we see, because people like what they've built for themselves. And they perceive that to change it is to give something up that really matters to them. So they don't want to reorganize anything. They want to keep it exactly the same. But yet those are the circumstances that got you into this situation in the first place. So it's really just, it's silly. Think of the drug addict. You know, the drug addict gets out of rehab, and he's been there for 6 months, and, you know, doing group therapy and whatever else. And now he's clean. And then what? He's going to go back and hang out with his friends on the street, the dealers? Like, what are the chances that he's going to be able to stay in that same environment, keep that same life, and be able to, and not go back to drugs? It's virtually impossible. So let's not kid ourselves. All right. Make sense?
It does.
Good. Comment.
Well, and for cases like that, I mean, putting yourself back in that scenario, you have to really come full circle with learning your lessons and knowing that you have the strength within to maintain that positive mindset, because the mindset doesn't stop once you've reached your goal. It's now continuing that mindset to stay on the same path.
Right. But now it's a little tangent, though. We're not talking about mindset per se. And yes, you're going to need that right mindset, but it's what the mindset leads to. And the mindset in this case needs to lead to a change of lifestyle and altering your environment.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're never going to be in those positions.
No.
Right? It doesn't mean, so you are going to probably need some strength of will.
Absolutely.
But the idea is you want to set things up so you need as little as possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jack. Continue, please.
No, I mean, I just think that I think by doing that, you can live a lavish lifestyle, an indulgent lifestyle, but you have to go back to number one. You need to set the policy for yourself on what you're able to maintain long-term and be realistic about it. So being realistic, it's a constant circle. There's always going to be, we're not saying lose weight, get healthy, never put yourself in this situation, never socialize, never throw on stretch pants because you're feeling like an off day. We're not saying to do don't, pass that ice cream every time. But we're saying you have to be realistic in how often and how long you do these things, because before it creeps up on you where you're back to square one, you're at the before that cycle. Right. And you don't want to come out of that cycle. So it's okay to follow with 1, 2, and 3 constantly. But when you come out of that before, the longer you stay out of that, the harder it is to get back into it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again,
That's
that goes
very
back
true.
to momentum is a
Yes.
thing.
Yes, that's
Like,
circle.
people who play the stock market, they understand that. They know momentum is a thing,
Yeah.
right? If you don't get out of the stock, it might continue to go down.
Could
Yeah.
Okay, now there was a point I wanted to make, and it slipped my mind. So somebody else say something intelligent while I'm thinking about it.
I was thinking like just self-awareness too. Like you have to be aware of what's going on. You can't live in a reality where you think it's okay that you're
Yeah.
pushing 3 pant sizes bigger than you were and everything is all good. So
Yes.
if you keep with all that, keep your mindset, that helps you keep awareness also,
So that reminds me. So it's like, have you ever been in a situation where it's like, okay, now you, especially, we've all done the program, doing the program, you're doing well. And then it's like, okay, so I was a little off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but your weight is still okay. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, this didn't affect me. So I could just continue with this portion of it, not extreme.
Right.
And you start to like nitpick. And then all of a sudden by that Thursday, all of a sudden you're up 3
Boom.
pounds. And it's like,
Yep.
wait, I was fine all weekend. You
Right.
know, you kind of let it slips out of control.
So that's a great point, about how process matters, right? Because weight can fluctuate for various reasons. Someone could, go on a plane and they get off the plane, they're up 5 pounds. They didn't gain 5 pounds of fat. They get it's inflammation. Right. So yes, the process has to matter. But there's another point that I wanted to make. And there's a lot of points, so we're going to get going soon, and we're going to continue this next week.
Definitely.
But the things we're talking about, the adopting the correct mindset for long-term success, the putting the policies in place, the reorganizing your life and your environment so to make sure it supports you, there's a redundancy built into this. So here's what I mean by that. So let's say you lose a bunch of weight, you feel terrific, and so you say, okay, I know that I have to change my lifestyle a little bit. You don't go out every night, you cook at home more, etc. Then one day you find yourself out and, you're in a social situation and, well, now you have, your policy is saying, well, I'm not going to do, carbs, whatever. Okay, so you stick to that, but then you find out you have a drink and now you're a little loose and now you don't care so much.
Yeah.
So you have a couple of pieces of cake. The next day, the next day you see that the scale is up 3 pounds. Well, you also have a policy that says if you go up over 2 pounds, you're going to do a steak day. So if you stick to that policy, you see how that redundancy is built in? Because there's no expectation that anybody is going to be perfect.
No.
The ability to get up, the ability to get back up after you fall down is a much more necessary ability than the ability not to fall down.
Agreed.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, right. What were you going to say, Jack?
Well, no, I just feel like, it's so, a lot of people, what you hear is when we talk about the promises that we give, where it's a 20-pound guarantee. Now, we're not just talking about, we're also breaking the false statements that are out there. Well, the first 10 pounds are water anyway, 20 pounds, what's the big deal? If it was that easy for everybody, we wouldn't be here, because the truth is it is not as easy to lose 20 pounds, tremendous amounts of fat, literally shrinking, resetting your body, your metabolism, your mindset. You're giving yourself this whole new life and opportunity in a very short amount of time to make a tremendous difference. Like, talk about turning the car around completely. This is that opportunity. Doing that, mentally, it puts you in a different, it's different doing it this way with a support system than it is doing it, I'm just going to do it on my own secretly and sit there really upset in the corner eating a salad.
Jackie,
assuming you're doing the right thing.
Once again, you are in my mind and you are thinking the things that I'm thinking, but
out of my head.
Our time is coming to an end, so we are going to talk about that, right? We're definitely going to talk about having support and how important that is for long-term success as well.
Yes.
Before we do, is there anything anyone wants to say before we get going?
I think everybody should start with setting standards themselves.
I agree.
It's a Monday. This is that Monday that everybody's waiting for. Start now. What
Well,
is it that you really want for yourself?
Standards, and like we would say,
Set
policy
a
is a little
policy and
different
stick
than
to it.
standards, right?
Absolutely.
So setting a policy that you're aware of, because you have to be aware of and you have to accept it when you see it, right? So the scale's up 4 pounds. Now, again, that can be mitigated by traveling or something,
There's always
unexpected like
something.
that, a
Yeah.
suntan, and but other than that, you have to accept it. Oh my God, I am up.
Yep.
Then this is what I'm doing. Boom. It's like that. Boom.
Yep.
Okay. So if we do that, our chances of success are much, much better.
Absolutely.
That is going to be it for today. Thank you for joining us, Joe, Denise, Elizabeth, Lisa G. Before we leave, I wanted to end on a special note. So what we're going to do is Jackie is going to sing her favorite rap song right now as we fade out.
How about, let's see. I like big butts that I cannot lie.
Oh, wait, you're actually doing it. Oh my God. Okay. That's it. I'm going. My policy is to cut Jackie off when she starts rapping, especially about big butts. Goodbye.
Bye.
We don't like big butts. We like shrinking them.